I would say my freshman year was fairly successful. I wouldn't say it was a standout performance. I mean, we had a lot of really good freshmen that year. Me, Chris Dunn, Misha Kudanov, we all came in and were very successful as freshmen. I All-Americaned as well as Chris Dunn All-Americaned. So I would say that I had a successful freshman year, but so did my fellow teammates.
So after your freshman season, you were expected to come back and have another really good season for the team, but you got injured, unfortunately. Can you talk a little bit about the injury and what happened?
It was approaching preseason, and I was having some issues with my left shoulder, which I had previously had injuries on that shoulder, fairly severe injuries on that shoulder before I had actually come to Ohio State. I had already had surgery once on the shoulder. And I went home for winter break for about a week, and I met with one of my docs, and they had me get an MRI on my shoulder, and it turns out that I had a torn labrum, so they decided that it was probably best if I had an operation done on that to make sure it was completely secure, since I had already had surgery once on it. So in January I got the surgery, and I've been doing rehab. I had done rehab for about 4 months after that, made a pretty quick recovery, and I've been training at like full strength for about 2 or 3 months now, so I'm a pretty good recovery so far. It's like I'm pretty much back to where I should be, I would say. So.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit about the kinds of things you had to do for recovery?
At first I couldn't do anything, and that was probably the worst. I had to sit in a sling for 8 weeks, and they were very, very stern about that rule. I could not move my arm for 8 weeks, and then after they would let me, out of the sling, I could just let my arm hang and move it around, and then from there I progressed onward to getting full range of motion by passive and active stretching, and then I would also do light strengthening of the shoulder using the rehab TheraBand and doing a lightweight type stuff.
So while you were doing all this, obviously you had to be away from gymnastics. What was that like?
It wasn't all that new to me, since I had torn my shoulder previous to coming here, or prior to coming here, sorry. So it wasn't like a new experience for me, but it's a very unpleasant, familiar experience, I would say. I mean, you come into the gym every day as you're doing all the rehab, and you see everyone practicing, and a lot of times it looks like a ton of fun, and you just sort of want to join in immediately, but you're just sort of stuck because you definitely cannot. So you have to it really tests your patience, which is good and bad at the same time.
But you've been, like you said, you've been back in the gym for a few months now, back training. What sort of things have you been working on to get back to where you were before you were injured?
Is that skill-wise or event-wise or anything? Okay. My main events, floor and vault, I've been working a lot lately. I've been sort of focusing on those. I've also been working the parallel bars again, just lightly on the side to get a clean routine just to have. But on vault, I've been working 2 17.0 start value, or previously 17.0 start value, now 16.0 start value vaults that I'm hoping to get both of those competition ready for some elite competitions we have coming up in the early season. And on floor, I've actually added about 6/10 to my start value that I had freshman year, and about 2/10 to the start value I had before my injury last year. So it's been a pretty good improvement for post-recovery and all of that.